Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to today's reading. I know the setup looks a bit different today. You can't see my face like you usually can, but I thought it'd be fun to mix it up. Plus, I don't have to get all dressed up for you. I actually really enjoy getting dressed up for you guys. I have a lot of fun picking out my different makeup looks and outfits and accessories. But, sometimes it's nice just to be able to come over here in my comfy clothes and provide you all with a reading. And I think it's kind of cool that with this setup, you guys are getting a direct look at the cards through the entirety of the reading. You can definitely tap into your intuition this way and pull out messages that I haven't even spoken about, messages that go deeper or more specific to you through your own spirit guides, through your own guardian angels, and through your own third eye, or whatever it is you believe in. So yeah, this should be interesting. I do want to let you know before we get into today's reading that I do have pick a cards on my YouTube page from mom and from dad. Like I did one video a couple months ago that was a message from dad and it has 8 piles. And then the following week I did a message from mom and there are 8 piles. This reading will be a bit different. Those previous readings were more about your parents' higher self wanting to come through and talk about your childhood, your difficulties, apologies, expressions of love. They were quite psychologically deep. Today's reading could do that as well, but this is more going to be advice from parents. So I'm expecting a lot of messages to come through about your spiritual purpose, your life purpose, what your parents want you to know, what in your childhood was leading you to this purpose. There could be some apologies in here as well. I'm expecting lots of kind of messages of understanding and reaching out to you at a soul level, and also talking about your potential, what potential they see in you, and where they want to see your life unfold and head for you in the future. So when you are picking your pile, if you came here just for a message from mom, pick a pile with that intention. If you came here just for a message from dad, do the same. You can also pick one pile from mom, one pile from dad. If you feel that your parents are quite a united front, then you can pick one pile that would represent a message from the both of them to you and what they want to talk to you about. So timestamps for everything will be down below, so you can go directly to your piles and I will meet you there. Love you guys. Hi, Pile One. Welcome to your reading. I'm really excited to get into this with you. Let's see what your mom or your dad or your parents in general would like to say to you. And I'm going to start by rolling the die here, okay, just to get an overall feel for the reading. Okay, we have the moon in Virgo in the 8th house. Now, moon often represents mom. So you could have come to this pile wanting a message from mom, or perhaps your father played more of a motherly role in your life. We'll see how that pans out as the reading continues. But the 8th house is often about death and loss and rebirth and regeneration. It can also be about other people's money and finance, shared resources. And then Virgo could be a sign of one of your parents. Perhaps that's why it came up. But Virgo is also known as quite a kind of down to earth, to the point. It can be a highly critical energy on the negative end of the spectrum. On the positive end, it's a sign that likes to see things in order and have all their ducks in a row, a very earthy and grounded sign. So let's start with the card topper you all chose. This seems to come out a lot when I use this deck. It's got this beautiful moon here. I don't know if you can tell, which goes well with the moon die. So let's see what it says. Draw down the moon. The forest nymphs dance in sheer delight, singing soft songs. Find us in the wild. Good night. So it seems like with the moon coming out here and the draw down the moon, one of your parents is wanting you to connect to your more feminine side. Some of you could have gone without a feminine energy in your life, like a mother who wasn't present or wasn't there, perhaps a mother that you lost early on to death or illness of some sort. But whatever it was that led you to this reading and brought your parents here to speak something to you, they want to talk about your divine feminine and your feminine nature and getting in touch with that for some reason. So let's flip over. Let's start with the tarot, and then we'll get into the oracle cards here. Okay, this is from a tarot deck I actually made. It's got writing on it. It's easy to use, so let me read these to you. Let's see what we got. Okay, another 8. We have stage 8 of values. It is upright, as well as the nation of mentality. So let me read this one to you first. It says, a society which values the mind, intellect, and communication skills, a society that focuses on science and technology and mental advancements. Knowledge is power. Can also represent law school or medical school, chess, physicists, chemists, elite colleges, and organizations. It's associated with the air element, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, houses 3, 7, and 11, and then 11th house is emphasized. You know, this goes really well with that Virgo energy. Something I didn't mention with that Virgo die, which I often do, is Virgo is often the sign of the healer. There's lots of doctors and people in the medical field that have Virgo very prominently in their chart for that reason, because Virgo is ruled by Gemini, which is about the mind. And with that mental focus, Virgo is able to use that to kind of put things in order for people, to fix things. And a great way to utilize that energy is through the healing of the body. So okay, let's read stage 8 of values. Enthusiasm for your work, a challenging job that develops and capitalizes on your skills and strengths, on the job training, happy and fulfilling work life, taking pride in your work, working on obtaining a certificate or degree that will advance your career, preferring to work alone. And look, we have Virgo here on this card, as well as the sun and the 9th house. So very interesting. With both of the 8s that showed up, your parents could be wanting to talk to you about psychology, because psychologists go very well with the moon and the 8th house energy here. They are a form of doctor and a form of a healer, but they're tapping more into the emotional element of things. And one of your parents, either mom or dad or both, seems to be urging you. Their higher self really is wanting you to get in touch with your psychological nature, the psychology and the emotions of kind of your mind and your heart, and utilize this for a life purpose. So one of your parents may want you to actually get in touch with this energy by putting yourself in the middle of it, like maybe enrolling in therapy or psychology for yourself, for example, would be a great way to do this. But let's look at the tarot and see how they want to expand on this message. Ooh, wow. Okay. High Priestess. There's another confirmation of this psychological energy. Second message I get with this card is that some of you may be interested in doing kind of what I'm doing, like where you are wanting to be a tarot reader for others, or like an astrologer, or, you know, to tap into these 8th house sort of secrets of the world. 8th house is about uncovering secrets, uncovering secret knowledge. It's associated with the occult sciences like astrology and tarot. But yeah, you're meant to do that to heal something emotional, something psychological. Wow. Okay, we have the Star card. This is Aquarius energy. Forgot to mention, this is also associated with kind of the moon here, and can be attributed to Cancer or Pisces as well. Wow, 3 major arcana cards, you guys. Okay, we have the Tower. Something I want to point out that's interesting. Typically in a tarot deck, the order of the cards here is the Tower and then the Star. Okay, these cards are right next to each other in the tarot. In your case, it's the Star and then the Tower. So the message of the Star card is that this woman is finally in touch with her purpose, and she's in touch with a purpose that will not only fulfill her, but will somehow serve humanity at large, okay? It's almost like she sacrifices herself or offers herself in some way, her intellect or her gifts, in a way that will progress humanity, okay? In your case, what you are meant to do, your life purpose, it does definitely involve helping others, and your parents are really urging you to pursue this, but they also want you to pursue it knowing that it is going to shake up some things. Like, it's almost like there's going to be something new you bring to the table, new ideals, new insights. You're going to build upon something that's already been established in a new way, and it could bring you a lot of kind of enemies or haters, and it feels like that may be why you've kind of resisted this path for a time, perhaps in your day-to-day life, because of course this is a message I'm pulling from your mom or your dad's higher self, not their human earthly self necessarily. So for some of you, you could have been resisting this path because you feel that it could shake up your relationship with your parents. They might not approve of it, okay? their higher self is coming through to say, look, I am aware, my higher self is aware that this is what you need to do. And it's meant to cause some shakeups. So think about and focus on your purpose, because no person or thing can get in the way of your purpose. No person or thing should be able to stop you from obtaining your purpose, regardless of what I think or your friends think or society thinks. If it's a part of your purpose, go for it, because it is going to bring a lot of people healing. Okay, let's look at these interactive cards here. And these are just images. Okay. Wow. Look, very similar imagery in these cards. The only difference here is this young lady is a bit older than the child. So some of you went through this yourself, the images you're seeing here. Maybe something toxic or abusive that caused you to have to shut off your emotions because it could have been too painful to feel them. And now your parents are trying to call you to get back in touch with those emotions in order to heal them, because you're going to use the skills and the strength that you gain through that process to help others. For others of you, your childhood didn't look like this, okay? But you're meant to help people whose childhood does. I think for most of you that came here, there could have been some sort of struggling with depression. I'm feeling depression most strongly. It could have been something else in mental health, but I'm feeling strongly depression because I do feel your parents are wanting to acknowledge that they really, really emphasized intellect and logic over emotions. Okay? They really, really did. It was a bit out of balance, and they're sorry for that. But they want to recognize here and now that it is time for you to draw down the moon, get in touch with those emotions and that psychology. And I think it's a time for forgiveness too, because I do see that with everything you went through, whatever it was, it is leading you towards your purpose. It's almost like nothing could really be changed. If just one slight thing was altered, then this path for this amazing purpose wouldn't have been open or available to you. So some of these things were unfortunately needed. But I see that you're going to overcome these things and turn them into gifts and talents and healing for others. So let's look at our last two cards here. We have the Child Eternal, as well as Joy and Delight. Look how opposite the energy on that card is from these cards here. Complete opposites. It says, open your heart to joy. That's the emotions we're talking about. Something needs to be healed. Your parents want to acknowledge that, or one of your parents is wanting to acknowledge this. The Child Eternal says determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit. Ability to see things with fresh eyes. Yeah, both of these cards just look so happy and light and youthful. It's so opposite from these two cards. So your parents are wanting to come through and apologize for the fact that whichever one it is you came here for, they want to apologize for the fact that they weren't really ever quite in touch with their emotions. They may still not be. They had their own damaging and their own sort of experiences. They don't want you to live in this darker energy that perhaps they boxed you in or forced you into. You are meant to live a life of youth and vitality, energy and joy. And that's going to all be possible for you as you walk towards this purpose and start with this psychological sort of healing, okay? And then go for what it is you want. Really, really go for it. This card here talks about, the first line says enthusiasm for your work. Do something that brings you joy, makes you enthusiastic, whatever it is. And don't put everyone else's input or opinions into account. If it excites you, if it brings that joy and passion into your life, it's exactly what your parents or your mom or your dad wants you to do. At least their higher self really wants you to go for this, okay? Thank you so, so much for coming to this reading and allowing me to communicate this to you from your mom or your dad or your parents. I feel honored to be able to do this work. And I feel very certain that you guys are going to get through this, whatever it is, and that you have a big, big purpose that you are passionate about and that you will fulfill, okay? So leave me a comment below if you would like to. I'd love to talk with you guys down there, as I always do. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Maybe I'll do more like this where you guys can see the cards. Let me know what you thought about that. Do you like this setup better than when you can kind of see my face? But anyways, this was really fun to do. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I love you so much. Bye. Hi, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading. I hope you're nice and comfy. Can't wait to see what message mom or dad or both of your parents have for you. Let's start with rolling the die. That'll give me kind of an overall energy feel for the readings. Let's see. All right, we have Uranus in Taurus in the fourth house. So Uranus is kind of about shock and surprise and sudden change or sudden insight. And the fourth house is about our home, our ancestry, our roots, our childhood, and family. And Taurus is really the opposite of Uranus energy because Taurus is about kind of like stability and, a very strong value system that doesn't change. It's kind of about, if they're very slow change, where Uranus is about like just very sudden, quick change. So they may want to touch upon something that occurred in childhood or something you're going through currently at home that might be a bit shocking for your system or, just for you in general to kind of take in and handle. Maybe it was a divorce or a sudden move, um, or a sudden loss in financial stability, like bankruptcy, or we'll see as we go through the cards. Let's take a look at the topper you all chose. This lovely green gate. Looks like it's going into an outdoor courtyard or a garden. It says a note on love. Seek different seasons and enter into the unknown. When love is the focus, foundation, and goal, blessed is the body, mind, and soul. It's interesting that seasons are brought up here because Taurus is often associated with the natural cycle of the seasons. Even though Taurus likes to move slowly, Taurus does move, it does change. Taurus represents kind of the gardening cycles and, spring to summer to fall to winter, and that sort of natural trust that we have in the universe to kind of repeat these cycles year after year. So it does feel like you're entering some sort of new season, or a new season was brought upon you, but it felt very sudden. It felt like, maybe instead of having 3 months of summer, you got 1 month before fall came. Or instead of 3 months of winter, it turned out to be like 8 months of winter. And it was just like, what the heck is going on? This isn't how it's supposed to work. And especially in regards to marriage and divorce, I actually feel like you guys currently are in some sort of cycle that is reminiscent of something you witnessed as a child, where it's almost like history is repeating, and either mom or dad or both of your parents is here to help you not make the same mistakes that they made. They don't want to see history repeated in exactly the same way. And they want to encourage you to focus on love. Love seemed to not be the focus for them, or they weren't able to focus on that for, whatever reason, whatever they were going through. They want that to be the focus for you right now, a focus on love. So let's look at these first 2 tarot cards. These are from a deck that I made. There's writing on these only, so I'll read them for you. Okay, we have Company of Endeavors, as well as a beginning in mentality. Both of these cards are reversed here. Let me read these to you. Okay, this says a world, group, or organization that is consumed with goals, a group obsessed with overachieving, the never-ending rat race, a world where you can never be good enough, a world where you never feel successful or where your success is constantly compared to others, a community where the impossible goals are stifling to one's creativity. This card is associated with the fire element, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, as well as houses 1, 5, and 9, and the 11th house. This could represent kind of the overall energy of your family. Maybe your family is very goal-oriented. Maybe the parent that brought you to this reading today, or both of them, were very high achievers. And when any sort of sudden change happened within the family, the focus was, well, what's going to make us the most successful or bring us the most money versus what's going to make everyone feel best? What's the highest version of love that we can embody in order to move through this? That's what that feels like to me. So one of your parents could have been like a workaholic, for example, or just very money focused. Those could have been the values instilled into them from an early age. But here we see that this parent or your parents are really wanting you to emphasize love in your life, love for yourself, knowing that you are good enough and operating in that truth as you navigate through your own shocks and surprises in life and that life brings. Okay, a beginning of mentality reversed. Not making a decision, not deciding. A foggy mind, a clouded mentality, no ability to downsize or cut things out of life, an unhealthy mental state, a lack of ideas or aha moments, no profound communications, mental exhaustion. And this is associated with the number 1, as well as Pluto in Aquarius and houses 1, 8, and 11. Both of these are associated with that 11th house of kind of our larger community and friendship groups that we're a part of. And both of these are associated with the first house, which is about the self, your own individual identity outside of the groups that you're stuck into. So there could be a decision here that your parents are wanting you to make, and to make quickly. They could be urging you to make a decision quickly about something, to clear your mind, because it feels like this decision is foggy or uncertain, perhaps because you are thinking in a way of what will be the most successful outcome or the most high achieving sort of outcome, maybe focused on the goals and not on the heart here. And your home life and your private life, maybe focused on how the outside world is going to perceive it and not on what's going to make me feel the most stable in myself and in my private life. Let's look at the tarot. Okay, we have 9 of Pentacles, as well as 10 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, lots of earth energy here, and the Moon. Yeah, you seem to come from a very high achieving family. I know I keep saying that, but I see it here. One of your parents or both of them really, really values high achievement in money and success. And I really feel that your parents worked hard to earn that in their own life. But it's almost like they took on too much. They took on a lot of responsibility and poured a lot of time into money and maybe keeping up with the Joneses type of thing, but didn't really acknowledge, I don't know, it feels like there's kind of pain and darkness coming from this card. So I even feel that the parent that brought you here, perhaps both, went through something traumatic in their own childhood or their own life, and you aren't even aware of this. It's a secret. Like if this was mom, this could be, some sort of harassment of her boundaries, if you know what I'm saying, at a young age or in college or something, that she never acknowledged. Or perhaps if this is, dad, it could be the same thing, or this could even have to do with mental illness or addiction. But this is something that they have kept under wraps. It's like the world sees this when inside of their own mind, there's all this going on. So it feels like they brought you here because they're wanting to acknowledge that, look, I may put up this front of perfection, and that's how the world perceives me, and it's how I want the world to perceive me. But underneath all this, I'm not truly happy. There's issues going on that I'm too prideful to ever let anyone see. And I don't want you to take what I do as like a tutorial for what you should do with your life. I really want you to focus on self-love and your own sort of security and confidence, because something eroded their confidence at a younger age, and they could have accidentally done this exact same thing to you. Something really eroded their confidence, and it's like they spent life trying to fix their confidence through, well, I'll achieve this and I'll accomplish this, and that will make me feel more confident inside once I have this much money in the bank or whatever. And their higher self is here to say, you know what, that's a never-ending rat race. I'm never going to achieve that confidence that I want, because I have to go within and I have to deal with my, the traumas that happened in my own life that made me think that I was less than or not enough. So they want you to really focus on self-love. You can learn a lot from this energy, of accomplishment and kind of pushing through, definitely. But there has to be a balance with it, okay? Let's get the interactive card. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Totally opposite of this money-making energy. This is like the energy of the hippie that just wants to be in nature. And what I love about this too is it does make me think of this Taurus die. Taurus is, like I said, is associated kind of with nature and gardening and the cycles of the seasons. This woman's just out in the flower bed with the birds, and she's got her flower crown on. And then on this card, it says, seek different seasons, enter into the unknown. This card represents the unknown. Your mom or dad or your parents want you to not follow their exact blue book for whatever they did in their life. Because, pentacles can be associated with money, but they're also associated with the earth element. And the earth element is about this, the fruits of our labor, the earth around us, the life around us, the living things and creatures around us, the plants, the animals, the trees, nature, being outside, soaking in that sunlight and that fresh air. That's just as much associated with a pentacle as the money in the bank account. And both of those that I listed are associated with Taurus. So it's almost like your parents had a very, or one of your parents had a very narrow minded view of this Taurus energy, which was bank account and money, And they forgot about this other side, this expression of love for life and God and the world we were born into, and connecting with that. So their life feels shallow and superficial, and they don't want that for you. Okay, let's look here. We have the Midas/miser and solitude. This woman looks very similar to this one here, and she's also got a little bird on her shoulder. It says, in silence, peace prevails. The Midas card says entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything into gold. Delight in sharing life's riches. So yeah, you all may have that entrepreneurial spirit that one of your parents had. Or maybe your parents weren't really entrepreneurs, but they were very kind of money focused, and you want to express that through working for yourself, owning your own business, and kind of being in this exciting, risky, living and breathing sort of energy instead of this real kind of every day the same and do the same thing every day type of energy. You feel kind of opposite to them in that way. And your parents really want you to go within. In silence, peace prevails. It says solitude here. They want you to go within and focus on self-love and kind of building up your confidence. They want you to feel as confident in your home life, in your private life, that's what this die with the number 4 represents, the 4th house, as what you project in your work life or to the outside world. They want it to match, okay? And they don't want you to feel like you have to prove yourself in some way. They want you to know that you already are. There's nothing you need to prove. What you do for work should be because you enjoy it and not because you feel like it's going to finally earn you that respect from others or that worthiness from others, because that's the furthest thing from the truth, okay? All right, I'm going to leave it here, but thank you so, so much for letting me do this reading for you, for coming to this reading and allowing me to speak to you through your parents, mom, dad, or both. Leave a comment below if you'd like. I will respond. I always do. I like talking with you guys down there. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next reading, okay? Love you. Bye. Hi, group number 3. Welcome to your reading. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you're nice and comfy, somewhere in some peace and quiet so you can really soak in this message. I'm excited to see what mom, dad, or your parents in general would like to say to you. And so let's start with rolling the die here. That way I can get an overall energy feel for the reading, what they want to talk to you about. Okay, we have Uranus. This came out in another pile, as well as Virgo, which also came out in another pile. Interesting. And the 2nd house. So Uranus is about a shakeup, a sudden change or a shock to the system. And the 2nd house is about our values, our self-worth, our talents, as well as our net worth. So the money that's literally in our bank account. And Virgo is about healing and organizing and fixing, okay? It's a very practical energy, but it also is a very great energy to bring in if you're needing something critiqued. If you need to know what needs to be changed or adjusted, just ask the Virgo energy. It will look at everything and let you know exactly what needs to be fixed and where. So there could be something they're wanting you to change. They may want to talk about something that was, that happened in the past that was quite a change or quite a shock. And it could have had to do with a big shift in your own values or the values in your family, or literally it could be about the finances, bankruptcy, or something like that. So let's start with the card topper you all chose. Beautiful door. It looks like it's somewhere in Asia, maybe India or Tibet or something, but beautiful colors here. And we've got the little doorway or window there, as well as the big wooden doors, very sturdy. Let's see what this says. It says intuition, simple, complex, words of pain or words that heal. You come to know truth by the way that it feels. It's interesting that I pointed out the little window up here because that literally looks like it could represent the third eye. You know, the two eyes here and then the third eye above it. And the third eye is what we use when we're trying to tap into our intuition and see what we cannot see with the physical eyes. So, and then even here, words of pain or words that heal. And Virgo is about that healing energy, but Virgo at its worst can be a hypercritical energy, which can therefore be quite, painful. You come to know truth by the way that it feels. Does it feel good or does it feel painful? And letting that guide you. Let's look at, we'll start with these two tarot cards here. This is from a deck that I made. It's got writing on it, so I'll read these to you and then we'll get into these tarot cards. Okay, level 21, the Homecoming. This is a black card, which means it's a major arcana card. All right, it is in reverse. Let's see what the second one is. Wow, another major arcana card. Level 14, the Apothecary. Okay, let me read these to you. It says, no successful completion or closure, unfinished business that stays unfinished. I'll have to lift this up because the words are so little. Delaying your progress, delayed gratification, closed-mindedness, wasting important time and energy on things that don't matter, and not being focused on one's long-term material goals, which is what that second house is about, our material goals and our finances. This card's associated with Saturn as well as the 10th and 11th house, which involves our career, and the Saturn return phase. So some of you may be going through your Saturn return phase, which happens for everyone between the ages of 28 to 30. Saturn is also often associated with our authority figures and therefore our father. So you could have come here for a message from dad, or perhaps if it was a message from mom, you saw it. Maybe mom played more of that authoritative role, or maybe you were missing that in your life. Okay, level 14, the Apothecary. Healthy routines and habits, nurturing or healing oneself and or others. Virgo. It says blending two seemingly inharmonious elements or aspects in order to create something totally new. Healing the mind or body through medication, holistic health, like drinking, eating, hormonal, etc., as well as a desire to heal, philanthropy and philanthropy groups or organizations. It's associated with Sagittarius and the Cadent houses, which are houses 3, 6, 9, and 12. So definitely finance is like a big thing. There may be like an investment of some sort that dad or mom or your parents brought you here to talk about. They want you to invest in something and invest in the right things. There could have been some mishaps with finances, credit score, bankruptcy, and they're really urging you to get that in order. Perhaps your parents didn't really set the right example for you growing up, and how to spend money wisely. So their higher selves are coming through to say, don't do what we did. You're in some major spiritual lessons in your life right now, so take advantage of those as much as possible and use your intuition. Does it feel right? Does what you're doing sit right with you inside, or does it make you feel nervous? Tap into that intuition, especially if you're one of the many people right now that are, investing in things like Bitcoin and these, the stock market, which can be so volatile. Your parents want you to use your intuition as you're making these investments or changes with your finances. And they want you to organize something and really clean things up. There's definitely something that needs to be healed. This card's talking about healthy routines and habits, which Virgo energy is really great for, and nurturing yourself through those routines, really keeping track of your habits and making sure you are doing things in the most efficient way. Let's get into the rest of the cards here and see what else they want to say. Okay, we have Six of Swords, Queen of Wands, so that's more Sagittarius energy. But it's also fire energy, so Aries, Leo as well could work here. Ooh, the Sun, more fire. Holy crap, you guys. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and Four of Wands. Wow. There are some really major, major things on the horizon for you all. I've been talking a lot about finance and things. Somehow this could be tied into the purchase of a home or the birth of a child, or some sort of big move. Like you may have left something behind and you're entering into something new that's more creative and inspiring, maybe a bit childlike and risky. And these all look really great. It looks like they really love that you are tapping into this sort of passionate, childlike, creative energy They just want you to make sure you're also remembering to balance your energy. So with that passion and creativity, there also needs to be some discernment and some organization, right? But beautiful energy. The sun is the happiest card in the tarot deck. That is what it's associated with. And look here, Queen of Wands is always depicted with this little black cat. That black cat represents the strong intuition that the Queen of Wands has, which is here in this card. So something you need to tap into for these big changes. And Four of Wands is about, establishing some stability in one's life. As you can see, every base has to have, those four corners in order to make it stable. And mom or dad or both of them are wanting you to, create this stability and obtain the success that you deserve. But start with little things. Virgo's all about the details. They want you to instead, it's great that you have this sort of big picture Sagittarius energy in you, where it's like you see that far off goal you want to get to, and that's inspiring and great. But in order to get to the goal, we have to go one step at a time. And it's the one step at a time that mom or dad or your parents wants you to focus on. It's like you've got the big picture you're aiming towards. Now get all these little baby steps in focus so that you can get there. Let's look at the interactive cards. Oh, look how cute. The little girl, again, another cat. Lots of little animals around her, actually. And the old lady. And it's funny because the energy of these cards are very, very similar. It almost feels like the old lady is just the older version of this little girl here because she's got all the animals with her. So you could have a very, oh, and look, I knocked over, this was Virgo. You could have a very strong connection to animals. We even have the horse here. And this could be something that you're wanting to do career-wise, something with animals. Doesn't have to be, but animals have a natural intuition, right? You always hear these amazing stories of like an animal saves their owner from a heart attack because 15 minutes before the heart attack, the animal knew it was going to happen. Or animals kind of know like when a forest fire is about to break out, or I don't know, they have these crazy psychic intuitive abilities. And there seems to be some sort of connection there. It's almost like you have a stronger intuition, I think, than you realize. You haven't tapped into the full utilization of it. And especially if you're someone who's always felt kind of a deep connection with animals, that's just confirmation of like the energy levels are matched there. You have this animalistic intuitive ability that animals have as well. And both of these cards are really about operating with a fully open heart, kind of like the Sun card. This fully open beating heart, which can be very passionate and exciting, but it can also be a little bit disorganized and not really focused on the mundane details, okay? And that's what your parents want you to work on in the next few months. Getting into the nitty-gritty of those boring details that you hate to do, but doing it in a balanced way, because you are meant to live a very exciting, passionate, creative, fulfilling life. But in order to get to that really big goal you're after, whatever it is, you do have to handle some of those more boring details of life, especially with money and finance, investments, things like that, okay? Tap into that intuition. Let's look at our last couple cards. We have the Priest, as well as Discovering Truth. That is such a Sagittarius energy. We've got 3 cards here that are like Sag, Sag, Sag. Comment below, let me know if you're a Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. And if you're not in Tropical, check your sidereal as well, because there's a very strong Sagittarius energy. That could be your midheaven as well. I could see that. It says, you stand in the light of truth. And you can see this man is kind of on this adventure. And look here, even as these two men, they're looking at these signs, trying to figure out which direction do I go, this way or that way. And this man almost seems like he doesn't even need to look at a map, you know? He doesn't need to look at the map. He knows, I don't know, it's like he follows his heart. He follows his intuition. He follows the truth within him to lead him where he needs to go. And it feels like that's what mom or dad wants you to do. Your intuition is much more helpful than you realize as far as kind of making the decisions. Use the Virgo energy to kind of cleanse things up, get things in order and organize. But for these more riskier decisions in life that you have to take, tap into that intuition. Focus on how you're feeling when you're making these decisions, because it will guide you in the right direction. And I also just have to say, whichever parent it is that's coming through for you, they're really wanting me to acknowledge like how special they think you are and how proud they are of you. It almost feels like at least their higher selves really think of you as like this golden child. It feels like you're a much more they're almost saying like, I don't know where you got this sort of passionate, creative nature. It's so opposite of mine, but wow, am I envious of you? They're very proud of you and very envious of you. Like they just find your energy very special and enlightening. And I'm just seeing lots of smiles as I go through this reading. And they want you to know that. So if you felt like the odd one out growing up, which I can see here with this card, if you felt like, oh, I just don't quite fit in with my family and their energy, and you always wondered if they kind of looked down on you, perhaps they did say things that made you feel little inside, their higher self really wants to come through and apologize for that, because spectacular is what I'm hearing. They just think you are spectacular, but they do want to help you with some things over the next few months. Okay, the priest card says facilitates spiritual commitments and serves as a channel of spiritual energy. Beautiful. So that's just more of that intuitive sort of energy. The priest, you know, is supposed to be at least connected to like this higher power and able to receive messages and information from this higher power better than just the regular everyday person, right? That's kind of what we're at least led to believe in society. So I feel like that's what the priest is representing here. Like you don't even realize you're like this ascended master, you're an ascended type of person. You have access to spiritual truths and knowledge that not everyone has access to because of this deep, strong intuition. So your parents or mom or dad really wants you to utilize that more and believe in that a little bit more. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, and use it to kind of cleanse your life and heal some things and put some things in order. But wow, just spectacular. And that's not even a word I don't even remember the last time I used that word, but that's the word I just keep saying. Let them know how spectacular they are. You guys can do this. If you feel like you've been in a rut for a while, you're not going to be forever, okay? Your natural energy is here, this bright, beautiful yellow that's just bursting off of the cards, and this wonderful intuition, okay? So if you want to, you can comment below and let me know a little bit more about your story. I want to thank you, though, for coming here and allowing me to be a channel from your parents or mom or dad to you. And wow, you guys are just really, really spectacular people. And I want you to know that. Passionate, creative, talkative perhaps, but just beautiful souls. And yeah, keep doing you, keep living that life, and you'll get everything in order, okay? I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Hi, Group 4, and welcome to your reading. Thank you so much for coming. I'm excited to get into this message, see what mom or dad or your parents in general want to say to you. Let's start by rolling the astrological die, and I'll get an overall energy feel for the reading. You guys had a couple extra cards come out in the tarot, more than the rest of the pile. So let's see what mom or dad wants to say. Okay, first house, as well as Pluto and Leo. So perhaps you all have Leo in your chart, maybe sun in Leo or rising or moon. Pluto is about death and rebirth, like deep transformation. And the first house is about the self. And Leo is also kind of about ourselves and where we take pride in ourselves and self-expression. So there could be a big transformation going on with you guys at the moment. There could have been something also that your parents want to acknowledge from your past that really, I don't know, that really was not, I don't want to say a shock, but there was some sort of deep transformation that maybe you were forced to go through in your past that they want to discuss about. And it may have been quite heavy and dark for you to deal with. So let me set these over here. And let's take a look at the card topper you all chose. Beautiful doorway. I don't think this has ever come out in any of my readings. It almost, I just get a feeling of like a cleansing here. It actually goes very well with that Pluto die, which is about death, but then inevitably rebirth, something brand new. And that's the feeling I get from this card. Like you're just walking into this pure, bright light and just cleansing and renewed. Let's see what it says. Wow. I did not read the back of this card. I've never seen the back of this card, but it says forgive and forget. A ritual cleansing of pain and lies. Arise and awaken. See a new sunrise. Oh my gosh, this goes so well with the die. Leo is ruled by the sun. It's about the sunrise. And this pain and forgiveness that needs to be cleansed, it's a natural part of the cycles of Pluto. Pluto does pull us down into its depths of darkness. It kills and destroys, but it's not supposed to be in that darker energy forever. Eventually, you're supposed to walk into the light and start anew, start fresh. So there's some sort of pain that your parents want to acknowledge, and they really want to urge you to cleanse this from you, to forgive. They want to ask for your forgiveness as well for some things that have really weighed you down over the years. But we'll get more details as we get into the cards, and I can kind of expand on that energy. So let's start with these two cards. This is from a tarot deck that I created. There's no pictures, but lots of words, so I will read these to you. Okay, this is a black card, which means it's a major arcana. Okay, so big spiritual upheaval in your life. It's level 20, the resurrection. Oh my God. Literally dying and being reborn. Oh my gosh, the themes in this reading, this pile, it's just crazy how well it's all tying together. I don't look at these before I come here with you and start flipping them over. The second one is the empath of feelings, and it's in reversed. So actually, I'm going to read this one to you first, and then we'll read the resurrection. Okay, so the empath of feelings reversed is an adult or child desperate for or in need of a lot more emotional attention, affection, and love. An adult who is immature or wounded emotionally from childhood. This also can represent a child who has passed away, an adult who deals with their emotional wounds through drinking, an immature adult, an adult who's led far too often by their emotions only, or a person whose childhood wounds are not yet resolved. It's associated with Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, as well as the ascendant, which is the first house here, the IC, which is our home life, our childhood, and the South Node, which represents our past. Beautiful. So I do feel your parents are wanting to acknowledge that that is you. There's something painful you went through that they feel, mom or dad or both, feel responsible for, and they want to acknowledge that you felt overlooked, okay, and unacknowledged. You felt like there was no one there really thinking of you or allowing you to express your heart's desires or your emotions. It feels like you didn't get the spotlight really in this situation. You were overlooked in favor of some other things going on, or neglected a bit, and it's really affected you, and they want to acknowledge that. Let's look at the resurrection card. This is upright, so that's good. It says a wake-up call, realizing something, making or hearing a major announcement, hearing long-awaited news, making a judgment call, hearing or sounding the alarm and taking heed, spiritual change and maturity, paving the way for a whole new existence, shedding one's shame, no longer hitting snooze, bringing oneself back to life, awaking to a new life, a judgment call. It's associated with the fire element, so Leo, which is in the die, as well as Aries and Sagittarius. The 8th house, which Pluto rules, which is about death and rebirth, and the 9th house and the 12th house. The 9th house is about our religious views, our views, having that big picture view of life and the world around us. And the 12th house is about our solitude and our subconscious and our spiritual healing. So yeah, your parents really want to, the main thing they want to say, or mom or dad, whoever you came here for, is they wanted to ask for forgiveness. Their higher selves know what you went through, and they feel terrible. And they want you to heal, and they want you to be able to get out of this darkness that you're in and walk into the light. But you have to walk towards it. Like, it takes that action, But how can you even walk towards the light if you're so weighed down that you can't move? So there's some major healing that needs to occur, but you're going to come out the other side completely resurrected, brand new. You can be resurrected. There could be this feeling that, no, that's not possible, It's not possible to resurrect. Once things are dead, they're dead. There's no more. That's the end. And mom or dad is wanting to say, no, the cycle repeats. There's always something on the other side. Nothing is ever just a dead end. There's always a new beginning. The sun sets and rises with every single day, as does the moon. You can resurrect, okay? Let's look at the tarot. Okay, we have the Chariot card. This is Cancer energy. Wow, Three of Swords. There's that pain again, you guys. There's that pain. King of Pentacles. This is Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo energy, as well as Eight of Pentacles and Ace of Cups. This is your new beginning here. For some of you that came here, the pain from the past is that one of your parents literally left home, either abandoned you or the family, or they could have died and left that way. Because the Chariot represents kind of that movement away from something. There could have been a deeper focus on, finances. Perhaps in your childhood, you kind of felt like finances were more important than emotions and people, and that kind of may have been a theme in your household, what was going on with the money, work, and those sorts of things. But your parents do want you to have this sort of emotional rebirth, because right now with that empath of feelings reversed, that's the opposite of this Ace of Cups. That's an empty cup, a cup that needs to be filled. And you need this emotional rebirth in your life. Absolutely, you need it for your happiness, for your joy, to kind of heal all of this. Therapy, for example, psychology, maybe a conversation, opening up is needed with the right people, of course. And then ultimately forgiveness, being able to open up for one last time, get it all cleansed and washed away, and then be reborn. Let's look at the interactive cards. Yep, okay. Yep. Death seems to be a big theme here. And it might not be literal, but major ending. And you'll notice this woman in this card, she is reliving the past over and over again. And only these bad memories from the past. These are home videos she's playing. She's just smoking her cigarette in complete darkness and just watching and reliving. And the discs kind of give you the theme of each video. So this says accidents, resentments, rumors, lost opportunities, failed relationships, betrayal and lies. And then this box here is labeled good memories, but there's a big kind of X on it. So there's just this focus of living in this negative stuff from the past. And it's keeping her from moving forward. There needs to be a shift of perspective. And then here, these look like these lost souls. These all look like people who have passed on and are just in this darkness still. Eventually they will get to the light, but right now it's like they're just stuck in this darkness. They feel lost, they feel empty. You guys deserve so much more, and your parents want you to know that. You deserve to get out of this past and to claim your own happiness and joy, your own spotlight, your own innocence and that childlike nature back again, and this emotional fulfillment. And there could be, for some of you, an earth sign partner that's meant to come in for you, a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn, a very stable, nurturing sort of person that's meant to come in, that you're meant to marry or be with. But you have to move past, you've got to get through this healing first, Okay, let's look here. Okay, we have the Artist, as well as unknown territory. And it says you are exactly where you need to be. The Artist card says expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses and inspiring others to see life symbolically. So this card is kind of about being able to detach from life and look at it in a new way with a fresh perspective, and then to feel inspired to create through that. What did you learn from this? What are the deeper meanings behind this? How can we heal? How can we pull away? How can we connect to our soul a bit so that we can move through life? How do these events change me? What am I going to do differently? Or who am I going to be in my future? And kind of like looking ahead as well, especially with this unknown territory. You all may feel uncertain about who you are or where you are right now in your life, and mom or dad is wanting to say, look, you're exactly where you need to be. It's okay that you don't have all the answers, all right? It's okay that you don't have it all figured out. That will all fall into place as you really focus on this emotional healing and just and forgiveness. Forgiveness for what life did to you, or what life did to your parents, or what your parents did to you, and just knowing that everything is as it should be. The only thing that needs to be altered is just your own emotions, and really nurturing those and experiencing this resurrection. You're meant to come out the other side of this a totally different person, basically. You may look different. You may start dressing differently. Your voice may sound different. The way you carry yourself may be very different. Your career path may look very different once you get out of this energy and really get to your Ace of Cups and you're healing because you deserve it. But your parents love you very, very much. And they're sorry for what you went through. They're sorry that whatever you went through really, really stunted your emotions or just made you feel emotionally empty inside or overlooked, not treasured, forgotten, you know. And they're also sorry that you feel as if everyone else has been able to move on from this but me. Why am I still stuck here in all of this? Why me? What makes me so different from everyone else? That they've all moved on and I'm still replaying these old family videos in my head constantly. They want you to take that responsibility off of your shoulders and really be vigilant about keeping yourself out of that territory. Unless you're in, a therapy session where you're meant to be opening up about these things in your day-to-day life, focus on the future you're going to build for yourself and everything you have to look forward to. Okay? Thank you so much for letting me provide this reading for you guys. I really enjoyed it. You guys are beautiful souls. Look at this, little empaths here. Comment below if you resonate with that label. But very gentle, soothing types of people. I feel like I was speaking differently in this pile than the others because your energy just feels very fluid and soothing. And you deserve to walk through this doorway here. Allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself to do that. It would make your parents really, really happy. Okay? Resurrect yourself. You can do it. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next reading, okay? Bye. Hi, pile number 5. Welcome to your reading. Thank you so much for being here and allowing me to provide this reading for you, a message from mom or dad or both of your parents, depending on how you selected your piles. Let's start with the astrological die just to get an overall energy feel for the reading. Okay, we have South Node in Cancer in the 12th house. Interesting. Okay. So South Node is about our past, even past lives, and kind of our comfort zone, what we became accustomed to from an early age in our life. And Cancer is the sign of home and family. It's also the sign of mother. So you may have come here for a message from mom, but it could just represent your childhood in general. And the 12th house is about isolation, separation, and losses, as well as our spirituality and the artistry that we tap into through our spiritual self. So these could be topics that mom or dad or both want to discuss with you. So let's start with the door you all chose, which is just gorgeous. This door gives me very strong Capricorn vibes. I remember thinking that when it flew out of the deck initially. So it's interesting that we have Cancer here because Cancer and Capricorn are opposites, but it just looks so traditional and conservative and sturdy. It's just got that Capricorn vibe. Like this looks like a doorway that has lasted hundreds of years, stood the test of time. Let's see what it says. It says, freedom flows. Don't hold yourself back from worldly freedom. Dream grand things for divine, sacred reason. Interesting. So it sounds like that 12th house energy I was touching on about the artistry and the spiritual creativity we can obtain from that house. Sounds like what your parents are talking about here in the Freedom Flows card. Dreaming big, not feeling trapped by the world like the 12th house can make someone feel. The 12th house is also the house of like asylums and prisons, things like that, depending on how it expresses. But yeah, don't hold yourself back from worldly freedom. Don't feel like the world is always going to have you trapped. Dream big, create big, do things with a spiritual purpose, and you'll find your freedom within the walls of the world. So very interesting. Let's start with the tarot cards here. This is from a deck I created. There's no imagery, but lots of words, so I'll read them to you, and then we'll get into the rest of the cards. Okay, we have a beginning of values, and it's reversed, as well as stage 9 of values, and it is upright. So let's read through these. It says no opportunity, no breakthrough, delay, stoppage, an offer or an opportunity not given or provided, needing vitamins or to work on the health, as well as loss of money. This is associated with the first house, which is the house of self, as well as Pluto in Capricorn, which we just experienced in 2020, actually. As well as, or we experienced the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in 2020 in Capricorn. So, as well as houses 8 and 10. So, houses 1, 8, and 10. Okay, stage 9 of values upright says self-employment, entrepreneur, solid and fulfilled on your own, loving your independence and being in charge of your own little world. That's very 12th house. Financially content and stable, taking care of oneself without the help of others, a single person that makes great money and loves their life, happy solitude. And this is associated with Venus in Virgo in the 4th house of home and like your quiet place. So this is interesting. I'm hearing from either one of your parents or both, whichever one you came here for, that life has made you feel isolated. I'm not sure if perhaps, you know, one or both of your parents worked a lot, so you were just left alone often. There could have been separation from the parents at an early age. Perhaps you were only children, so there was isolation in that sense. Or it could have been that you did have siblings, but they were very far apart in age from you. So it seems like your parents want to acknowledge that you've always felt kind of isolated or trapped in your isolation. And even recently, I feel like there was some sort of opportunity, whether it was a relationship or a job or financially, that was taken away from you. And it's because that opportunity, or it could have been a lifestyle choice as well, I don't know, many things. That opportunity was codependent on somebody else, okay? There was some sort of codependency. Like, for example, if it was a job opportunity, it's a job where you're working for someone else. Or if it's a relationship, it's a relationship where you would have been very dependent on that person. And it's like the universe is kind of continues to take things like that away from you. And I feel like there's a frustration, like, wow, this is just what I've always been used to, I guess. Every time I try to connect or try to, come closer to an opportunity or to people or to things, it just takes it away. And I feel like this has been a theme since childhood. And I feel like you've been at a point in your life where you're becoming frustrated with this. You feel like you can't win. You feel like life is nothing but a prison cell. And your parents have come through, first of all, to acknowledge your sense of isolation, and they want to apologize for that, definitely. But they also want to show you how this isolation, this 12th house energy, it can feel either very trapping and constricted, but it has another way to express itself as well, which is through self-imposed isolation. For example, the writer, the author of books that goes and lives up in the mountains far away from society for months at a time so that he or she can pour themselves into this book they're creating. They're choosing to self-isolate for the purpose of, their creative endeavor that they're so passionate about, okay? So there is a very isolated energy in your life, definitely, but it's meant to be used for something like this stage 9 values card is talking about, where instead of you feeling like life continues to isolate you from things, you are actually isolating yourself on purpose because you desire that for the intent of, starting a business, working on some sort of creative project, tapping into your spirituality, something like this, okay? But maybe we'll see more as we get into the rest of the cards. And this could have been something that you even like inherited, okay, genetically from either one of your parents, perhaps mom. I do feel like one of your parents had the tendency to self-isolate as well. And it'll be different for each one of you as to whether or not they use that self-isolation for a good purpose or in a good way, or in a negative sense and in a negative way, like drowning in mental health issues, becoming imprisoned. Those would be the more negative ways, abandoning the family, obviously a negative. But on the positive end, it could have been expressed as a parent who was highly artistic, musical, creative, maybe was an author themselves, for example, or just really loved their work and isolated themselves and were constantly working on this. You inherited this same energy from them, and they want you to use it in the most positive way for yourself, while also acknowledging how difficult it has been for you at times in your life because you haven't really understood or got a grasp on this energy. Okay. In fact, your south node in your chart may be in the 12th house or may be in Pisces, for example. But let's look at these other tarot cards here. All right, we have Knight of Cups. That's more water energy, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Pisces rules the 12th house, as well as 9 of Wands. So we have 2 9s here. This is Sagittarius energy. And 5 of Swords, air energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So it feels like you are this Knight of Cups is what I feel. You really seek emotional fulfillment. You need emotional fulfillment is what I'm hearing from mom, dad, or both. And this emotional fulfillment is a highly creative energy as well. Water energy is very creative. But notice how this Knight, he's like out seeking other people to share his emotional fulfillment with. And what I'm hearing from your parents is, or mom or dad, is you were this type of child that really sought out other people for your emotional fulfillment. You know, very open and loving, very, you know, I want to give hugs and kisses and I want snuggles, or, you know, that sort of thing. I feel like you learned to repress this though from an early age because of the household you grew up in, maybe because of the lack of availability from either one of your parents. You learned to repress this, but naturally in your very early years, you were very kind of like open and loving and wanting to share this loving, watery energy with those around you. But it looks like you've been burned over the years. You've been backstabbed, you've been burned, and now you've got this wall up around you to kind of protect yourself. And your parents just want to acknowledge that, you know, what you saw growing up or the interactions you had growing up did definitely cause this wall. But they also, for some reason, it's such a contradictory reading to me in some ways. Please comment below. Let me know how this played out in your life. Because it's almost like they're wanting to say you were never meant really to use this water, emotion, creative energy for giving out to other people. That was never part of your spiritual purpose. They're almost like saying, you see, if I would have accepted this water energy from you, it would have been used up. You would have been giving it all on me, or giving it all on your siblings, or giving it all to these other people. And then it would have been wasted, because your purpose here has something to do with you pouring all this watery, creative, emotional energy into your projects, into your creative endeavors, into your passions in solitude. All right. That's why it couldn't be given out. This is also why you tend to run into these obstacles when you are trying to give out this creative energy to others. Okay. I hope that makes sense. It sounds so odd to me, but if I hear it, I feel like I have to say it. So hoping that resonates. But maybe as we get into these cards here, we'll get more understanding. Oh, wow. Okay. So you all have this card, which looks like Jesus to me. We even have the fish here, which is associated with like Jesus, and he's speaking to the children. So yeah, there is like a deep spiritual purpose to your life that you're supposed to be utilizing this creative water energy towards. Some of you could be interested in working in spirituality, like tarot reading, an astrologer, a Reiki healer, a pastor of some sort, or a motivational speaker of some sort. And you're definitely meant for that. Just let this card be a confirmation. All these cards here are talking about like a deep purpose in spirituality, something spiritual, creative, transcendent, you know, in nature. And this South Node could be talking about past lives. Okay. You could have parents who are highly religious, or one or the other is highly religious. You grew up in a very religious sort of household. And it's almost like that was meant to be, because you're here to kind of break the confines of religion in some way, or expand upon it. This is very interesting, you guys. This feels big, okay? It feels big. Let's look at the last 2 cards. Okay, we have the Beggar, as well as In the Flow. It says everything is smooth sailing. Beautiful card. The Beggar says confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival and awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. This Beggar energy feels very much like what your mom or dad was telling me about this Knight of Cups. There's going to be a major switch, a major turning point in your life, perhaps around the time of your Saturn return, or perhaps just in the next few months. Whereas the first half of your life, it's like you were begging for someone to share this emotional energy with you. You know, you would walk up to mom, or walk up to dad, or walk up to your siblings or relationships and say, look, here's my cup. Here's my creative spiritual energy. Please take this. Please share. Let me offer it to you. Let me share it with you. Almost like you felt like you needed to, when the true key to all this is within yourself. Once you learn how to give this cup back to yourself, use it to create, use it to speak something big to others, some sort of big message to others, it's going to flow. It's going to all start flowing. Everything's going to click and kind of make sense. And you probably will help a lot of other people with a similar sort of backstory to you. Look, we have flow twice here. Freedom flows and in the flow. That's that water, and we even have water here. This watery flowing sort of energy that is meant to come out of you, but to be used towards yourself in some way, where you're creating, you're using it towards yourself. And then after the creation is complete, it's offered to the world or offered to others. Beautiful spiritual energy. You guys are so spiritually tapped in that it was very hard to differentiate what messages were actually coming through from your physical earthly parents and what messages were coming through from your spiritual parents, like Father God, for example, or something. It almost feels like, I don't know, the messages I'm getting are raised up above just the earthly realm, okay? That's how spiritually tapped in you all are. A lot of messages that came through had to do with, angels, spirit guides, God himself. It's something, I wish I could explain it better. So I know it wasn't, well, I don't know if it was super specific or not. This reading was I felt like I was pulled up into the stars to help decode this for you, if that makes sense. So I would love it if you would comment below and kind of explain how all this ties in together, or what it is you guys do for a living or have wanted to do for a living, but go for it. Go for it, okay? It's part of your purpose, and your parents brought you here today to hear this message, to receive this advice, and to start working towards that purpose with a higher sense of confidence and recognition that you don't need anyone else in order to do this. You just need you and that creative flow, that creative energy, okay? All right, I love you guys so much. Thank you for allowing me to provide this reading for you. For those that aren't aware, I do have a pick a card message from mom and a pick a card message from dad on my YouTube page. If you do want something more specific, there's 8 piles in each of those readings. Okay, so if you want, you can check those out after watching this. But anyways, I love you, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye. Hi, pile 6. You're the final pile. Welcome to your reading. So far, the readings have been very diverse, very different, and I'm excited to see what your mom or your dad or both of your parents want to say to you. So far, parents have been giving out lots of advice for moving forward, lots of things connected to spiritual purpose, and you all have a lot of cards, more than some of the other piles. So let's start with the astrological die, okay? Get an overall energy feel for the reading. All right, we have Uranus in Virgo in the 9th house. I'm almost positive this Uranus in Virgo came out in a previous pile. So if you felt drawn to more than one pile, but second guessed yourself, I would go back and take a look after this reading and pick that second pile, because I'm pretty sure there was a Uranus in Virgo somewhere else. So Uranus is about shock, surprise, sudden insight, sudden change. Virgo has to do with kind of organizing things, putting them in order, critiquing things, getting all the facts, getting all the knowledge that's needed in order to make things right, to be of service. It's also a very healing energy and can be denoted as the healer. Lots of doctors have Virgo energy prominent in their chart. And then the 9th house is about foreign travel, foreign lands, as well as religion, and just like the overall big picture. What's the meaning of life? What's the purpose to life? So these could be things that mom or dad or both your parents want to talk to you about. So let's look at the door that you all chose. And this is just gorgeous. It looks like this is some sort of maybe Catholic church. So again, I'm getting that religious imagery that kind of the 9th house talks about. Let's see what it says. Jude's song. Okay, so yeah, definitely. Okay, it says, a reminder for even the most hopeless of lost cases, you can find peace within the strangest of places. Interesting. So you all could be in a major spiritual transition phase where a lot of your beliefs about things are changing. A lot of the ways you used to process information or used to see the big picture are now being washed away, and there's something new coming in here. And it could have to do with contact with others that are outside of your religious background or upbringing, from a different culture or such. Or, 9th house also talks about higher education, like bachelor's degree, master's degree. You guys are definitely getting a sudden influx of information that you never received before, that is changing and altering your perspective and your beliefs. So Let's see what mom or dad wants to say about this. We'll start with my tarot deck here that I created. I'll read these to you, and then we'll get into the rest of the cards. Okay, we have stage 4 of values, and it is upright, as well as level 2, the vision board. This is a black card, which means it's a major arcana, and that's always a big deal when it comes up in a tarot reading. So stage 4 values, this says hanging on for dear life to something that needs to be let go, clinging. This also represents lack mentality, being paranoid of loss, the inability to let go of something, saving and not spending your money. It's associated with Capricorn, the sun, and the 8th house. So the sun in Capricorn and the 8th. It's interesting because I was talking about how this sudden shock could be shifting a lot for you. You could still be holding on or trying to cling on to a lot of these beliefs or perspectives that maybe give you a sense of comfort in a way, but your parents are here to say, look, you've got to let that go. There's something bigger, something new that's meant to come in the way that you've processed or understood things. Don't feel like you have to keep with tradition just for our sake, basically, or just for my sake. Don't feel like I'm the end all be all and what I say always has to be what's truth. You can find your own truth. Sometimes life brings us new truths and they want to see you on your own journey for truth, not following in their journey for truth. Okay, level 2, the vision board. This is reversed. Okay, and it says settling for less than you really want, not ideal. Compromising, but not in a good way. Not demanding the ideal possible, and then also artistry or psychic potential that's being underdeveloped, and ignoring or silencing that inner knowing. This is associated with the moon in the 4th house, or the moon right on the IC, which is where your childhood point is in a natal chart. Yeah, there's something new, and I feel like it's interesting. I wonder how it was that your parents raised you. Perhaps they were quite traditional, quite conservative, and you feel like you're not allowed to break out of that box, even though at a soul level, your soul's really longing to let some things go and to create your own path. And your parents' higher self, at least, which is what they're coming in as today, their higher self recognizes that you need the freedom to go on your own path, to find your own fulfillment and your own perspectives and what you consider the meaning of life to be and what you consider God to be, and what you consider the truth to be. You deserve that right to seek it out on your own and come up to your own decision or perspective on it. And they want, at least in this reading, it's like if they can't do it in real life, in their earthly human form, they want to be able to give you that pass here and say, look, I know deep down, my higher self knows that you're meant to embark on this journey towards something new. So stop clinging on to these things that are just killing your soul, just deadening your energy. Okay, let's look at the tarot here. We have Page of Wands, Queen of Swords, Nine of Cups, and the Death card, another major arcana. This is Scorpio energy, okay? Now, this could represent perhaps your parents. Perhaps you came here for a message from mom. Mom may be an air sign, a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. This could be your energy, this fire energy. So Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries. Doesn't have to be, though. But there seems to be, mom could even be a Virgo. I'm almost getting a Virgo energy from this card, like a highly critical, no, this is the way things are. This is what it is. That doesn't make sense. This is what's right. Like kind of an overbearing, critical sort of nature about her. You know, she has her own truth sort of figured out. And on an earthly level, she may not leave much breathing room for others' insights or others' thoughts or perspectives. But you feel like a much more curious energy, much more open to exploring and discovering things on your own, maybe even traveling far away. That could have to do with what this reading is about, receiving their blessing to do so. But you're not meant to settle, you know, like this card's talking about. You are meant to like have a lot of emotional fulfillment, be really proud of what represents you, not represents where you came from or who your parents created you to be, but what represents you. What are you going to create to represent who you are? What ideals do you hold that make you feel proud of yourself? And the Death card is a card about great maturity, extreme maturity, complete cleansing and transformation through big, big endings. But you'll notice the Death card has this sun over the horizon because the sun sets, but it always rises again. But it can't rise anew unless it has set. And that is what you're being called to do here. and your parents want to acknowledge that, they may not be capable of supporting this transition and this new phase, in the earthly realm, in their day-to-day life, but their higher selves at least want to acknowledge that that's what they know you should do, that's what they know you need to do. Some of you may have done stuff in your past that lost your parents' trust. Okay, that's something else I'm hearing. There could have been drug use, or maybe you were just a rebellious sort of student or kid, and you lost their trust, and they may have even convinced you, look, thank God we're here because you can't trust yourself. You aren't good at making decisions. You don't have the right perspective. And that's been drilled into your head. And now, at least on a subconscious level, you truly do believe it. You look back at those mistakes and you think, yeah, you know, I can't trust myself to think differently or to move forward. Like, I've got to have one or both of my parents here to keep me in line. So I'm just going to go along with them because I don't trust myself. It's time for that to change, okay? Wash away that past. You are maturing. You're at a different level of maturity than you were in your past. You can trust yourself now. You've done a lot of growth, okay? All right, let me scoot these here and we'll look at our interactive cards. Beautiful. Person meditating. Oh yeah, look at that rebellious energy there. Yep, that's what, but look how much it's changed, okay? Look how much it's changed. You may have run with a rough crowd back in the day, or you may have just done, maybe you were the type of kid that would like sneak out, or I'm going to do what I want. Maybe you didn't pay attention to your grades. It could have been, there's so many different ways to rebel, okay? But I feel like you found a new level of peace within yourself just through age. Sometimes all we need is time, age, maturity. Our brains aren't even fully developed until we're 25 years old. So at 25, we can be a totally different person than who we were in the past. So you've got to stop believing whatever ideals you put on yourself from your past. Like, oh, well, in the past I did this, that, or the other, so that means I'm this, and this is how I would describe myself. I'll never be trustworthy, or I'll never be able to rely on myself. It's time for all of that to wash away. And whichever parent brought you to this reading wants to acknowledge that. You are ready to bloom, okay? You are much more at peace with yourself and much more mature. You're actually able to sit still now. Maybe you were a kid with, ADHD or something like that just kept your mind going, 100 miles a minute and impeded you in a lot of ways. But I see a lot of transformation that you have not even been able to recognize in yourself, and your parents, or one of them, wants to recognize that for you today, okay? You're something different. It's time for you to create your own path and to trust yourself. You are not a lost cause. You are not a lost cause. It's time to get that out of your head. Remove that from your vocabulary. You're not a lost cause. Okay, we have the Poet, as well as Faraway Places, Ninth House energy. Yes. And Cleansing Waters. Okay, the Poet says, expresses soul insights in symbolic language. Beautiful. Some of you may be naturally gifted with singing or poetry, or you just maybe you're very good public speakers or very good writers. And in order to be someone that's good at writing poetry or songs or just typing things out in general, in order to be good at that, you have to be someone that can process information well and know how to convey it in the right manner. You can't be someone that has a screwed up perspective. You know what I mean? Like, your brain obviously operates in a very healthy way if you're able to take the information that's in your head and then convey it to others in a cohesive manner that makes sense, that brings new insights. So whatever talent you have in related to this Poet card, or in relation to this Poet card, it's trying to tell you, like, come on, look at yourself a little bit differently. Do you really think if you were that all over the place or that untrustworthy or scattered that you'd be able to do these things? That contradicts each other. Your parents are wanting you to understand yourself at this deeper level. Cleansing Waters, purification activates vibrant life force, purifying, cleansing, washing things away. Faraway Places, get ready for new horizons. I do feel that most of you are ready to, or meant to, go to college for something you're passionate about, live in another country, move far away from your childhood place of residence, perhaps marry someone from a different culture or background. Living near the water may be very purifying for you, because we have lots of symbolism here with the water, even this person meditating by the water. You're supposed to maybe go into a very different religion, or spiritual belief than what you came from. Interact with different cultures and backgrounds, because that, okay, that is why you will have this sort of rebellious energy in your childhood or in your youth. Okay, it wasn't because you were an untrustworthy kid or whatever. You were meant for kind of big horizons, lots of stimulation, creativity, lots of new things around you, and it feels like your childhood couldn't really honor that for you. So it came out and expressed itself in this sort of rebellious way. But your parents, or at least whoever you came here for, wants you to know that they truly believe in you. In fact, I'm hearing from them, let them know that they have a super sharp, brilliant mind. Please let them know that I'm aware of how brilliant and sharp their mind is. I'm seeing like just electricity buzzing around the brain. So much activity, so many great ways to use it as well. But you've got to start with trusting that you can carve your own path. You don't need to follow anyone else's. You don't need to hold on to what you did in the past or in your youth as a reason for why you shouldn't allow yourself to move forward, why you can't trust yourself. Absolutely not. It's time to take this vision board and turn it upright, which says the ideal, no settling, exactly what you want in a perfect world. Create that vision board for yourself and go for it. Dream big, just like what the Jude song says. You can find peace within the strangest of places. Go somewhere strange. Find your peace. Break away. Die and be reborn. All right? Wow, what a cool reading. I would love to know how this already resonates with your life currently. Where do you live? Do you do a lot of traveling? I'm super curious to know. So if you'd like, you can comment that down below for me and I'll chit chat with you down there. But just want to thank you so much for allowing me to provide this message for you. Also, don't forget that, well, if you're a subscriber, you already know this, but if you're new here, I'll let you know that I do have 2 separate readings on my YouTube page. One is a message from mom, one is a message from dad. There are 8 piles in those, so they're very specific. So if you'd like to expand on this message, you can go to either of those readings and pick a pile from there as well. But I will leave it here. I love you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next reading. Bye.